hands we touch. It's not enough. No sleep. Big love. Big love. I need big love.
Happy Friday, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Jibber Jabber Podcast. Jay Mack, do you count Friday as a weekend?
Yes, absolutely, especially when it's my long weekend like this one.
So the weekend has just begun, and we are kicking off this double bill tonight with an episode that I've actually wanted to do for a wee while. It's been in the back of my mind to be like, right, when we get more into doing some more music episodes, which more to come up on that very soon, so keep an eye out. Yeah, I was like, right, when we do some more music stuff, I really want to reach out to this guy, adullboy. By chance, I think it was your brother shared Big Glove on Spotify, on Facebook, and I was like, I've heard that before. It all became a bit familiar to me, and I was like, epic. And then I started listening to more of the stuff, and I found When I Was Young on YouTube, and I've showed that at every house I go to. I'm just like, check this out. I relate to this so much. Just the words in it are perfect. So today we're basically chatting to adullboy Robin Crosby. I'm looking forward to finding out basically what made him start in music, why the name adullboy, and his music. Like I've said this a few times, local music for me is kind of you get a big chunk of local music that's just trying to sound like the next band and the bands that are all in the charts, and then you get the real artists, which you've got to really wage your way through that to find. And there are only a few of those in West Lothian. Some of them are already sitting at the top of the charts, but some you need to really look further for, and that's one we're talking to today. So yeah,
without further one thing about adullboy Robin's adullboy is what he calls himself, by the way. That's not some horrible nickname that we just gave him now. I'm sure he won't be adullboy. But the one thing you can say about his music is it is very unique, and I've never heard anything like it before. It's awesome. So it's going to be fun.
I said to my wife, it's like he got his journal out and started playing music to it, which is the best kind of music, the stuff that's true. So I'm just I actually grabbed my guitar the other day and I was like, right, I'm going to try and figure out how to play Big Glove. I'll just come up with it myself. So to play in Robin, here is myself. Ladies and gents, adullboy.
Wow. Listen, this is too much, man. I don't know what to say. I'm a blushing because that is some nice stuff, man. I really appreciate everything that you said there. I've never. This is new.
Do people not tell you that stuff? No.
No, really. It's no. To be honest, whenever I'm playing live, I tend to be have had 2 or 3 drinks and I'm just wandering about the back. I never really interact, so it's very, very strange to be sober. I've been sober for a couple of months, and it's very, very. It's a new experience, I must say. I'm blown away. I do appreciate that, and even playing the run. Wow,
No.
That's
Really,
Kevin goes the
Thanks.
extra mile, man.
That
He
was
does.
just above and beyond. Did not
I mean,
expect it.
do you play that song on acoustic guitar? I've always wondered that because of it's quite an intricate sound.
That song I wrote. I had been listening to the soundtrack for the arcade game Double Dragon. I don't know if
right.
he's ever listened to any arcade soundtracks. I'd been listening to it and I can't remember the level, but there's a particular level that's got a really good kind of melody bass line, and I had acquired an old Zoom kind of digital audio workstation.
Nice.
And I think my girlfriend was watching the telly, and at the time the dining table was there, and I was just messing around with it, found a kind of synthy sound, and that happened. And I had then stuck doing some lyrics, and I thought I've maybe got something here. And the middle bit is literally me trying to copy the Double Dragon arcade arcade level. I think it might be the third level. I would recommend listening to that. That's some of the best music ever in an arcade game.
I find that. Sorry.
So I was going to say, was Double Dragon? I mean, when are we talking for Double Dragon? Is that 8-bit, 16-bit?
Well, if we're back at the arcades, and it was pre the sort of game engine with the Turtles and the X-Men and that. So
Right.
it might be I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But you're definitely gone back. It must you're easily gone back more than 20 years. It must be. It must be.
Aye.
Most of the greatest artists that I've ever listened to in interviews, which I spent a lot of my childhood doing, actually say that most of the time they were trying to sound specifically like a song of their heroes. So they say, if you ever want to sound like your hero, listen to their heroes. And so that kind of reminds me of that, which you said there. We've got a couple comments. Kieran says, evening guys, evening fella, looking forward to our next paranormal partner next week, and we've got a good one for you there as well. Matthew Min, who will be joining us later tonight for our watch along, as always. Matthew Min says, the end of Double Dragon caused so many fallouts between me and my pals.
It's the bit where the war comes out, man. It was never there was no way you doing it. It was random. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair, that bit. And then the spears, and then the guy had the gun. I was able to complete it, obviously. I was able to do it, but that wasn't fair.
Thing is, that was back before you could save your game as well. It's like once you died, you died.
No, that was it. It was over.
I think having a wee Twitch channel and playing some of your tunes and just trying to beat that game, I think that'd be entertaining.
Love that game, man.
Love
that game.
So basically, you have kind of flown under the radar for me, and I always thought I had
for everybody, man.
Right? I mean, I felt like I was like I'd lost my touch, because I've always got my finger on the pulse, and I have for the last 15 years or so when it comes to the local scene. So I've seen a lot of the bands and artists mature or give up, right? So I know that you'd worked with Kyle Wood and Lovers Turn to Monsters, yeah?
Kyle produces all the stuff that I do. He records all the stuff that I do.
Well, I listened to a lot of his stuff.
Yeah,
for years, many years. That guy's probably written more songs than we've all had dinners in our whole life.
There's a huge part of Kyle and everything that we do, and he is one of the most prolific writers and releasers of music that you can come across. It's just a huge body, very high level writing.
Absolutely.
And plus, just a great guy. Just a great guy.
I grew up literally living across the road from him for years, and then I kind of throughout my high school years had kind of started to listen to his music. He was in several different bands, but I mean, you find that solo artists or local solo artists do it for about a year or two, realize they're not going to be famous, and then they stop. And you can just tell that Lovers Turn to Monsters is just completely where that guy exists. And I would encourage anybody that hasn't to go and check out anything from Lovers Turn to Monsters. I mean, you're going to spend a few years trying to catch up on his back catalogue, but there's absolutely something there for you. And what I like about it as well, it's like you can almost tell he's tucked himself away in a little corner of a room and just poured his heart into the pages.
Quite literally,
Yeah.
actually, quite
Yeah.
literally, yeah.
So it's very, very artistic, and I draw a lot of inspiration from a lot of stuff that he's done previously and stuff. Sometimes you can tell some of the songs that he's put together, just a couple simple chords, but there's and it's the same with yours. This is why I had kind of brought him up. That's why for me it's like, right, you caught my eye or my ears, because you do have a similarity, and it makes sense though that you have worked together completely the whole
Yeah.
time, and that's that there's an intangible originality about what goes into the music that is missing today, and I think that's why you and guys like Kyle stand out on the scene. But the thing is, it's just like I never see your name on posters when it comes to the local gigs. Very rare. Same with Kyle. I mean, why do you guys not get out there and really hit the festivals or what?
Well, Kyle, I have, and Kyle has as well, and not just
Mhm.
locally, but down the rabbit hole and stuff. Early Wickerman had a wee set in that.
Yeah.
But Kyle's based in Glasgow now, so you'll always find him in Block. He
Yeah.
plays a lot through there, and he's
Mhm.
he's always very, very busy. For me, I've played for years and years and years, one way or another, and it kind of got. It was. I'm not going to say boring because it's anything but boring. But
Mhm.
it's difficult to find a place that has the right mix of people that are out to have a drink and out to tune in to what's going on. So again, most of it was out in Glasgow, working with some sort of bookers through there, some of the smaller places, but mostly now you'll find me kicking about the Purple Orange in Bathgate, if I'm not in Edinburgh or not at Glasgow, just because it's a music venue. A pub can be hit or miss because not everybody's there to listen, and
That's true.
I think to get anything out of Kyle or anything that I do, you kind of need to listen to what we're saying.
I feel a bit remiss. Where's the Purple Orange?
Oh, come on. It's literally next to the Dreadnought. It's round the corner.
That's just round the corner and up, yeah. Just
Right.
round the corner and up. There used to be a head shop up there.
Is it just a wee kind of music room with a bar in that? Or
just a wee music shop, and in the back it's this venue set up. Great people that run it and great people that go there. Good community there.
okay.
And that extends further. It isn't just there, but certainly when you're in there, you know that the people are going to listen to you. And as I say, for me, I spent like years and years playing in covers bands, and playing parties and weddings where folk aren't really listening, or they just want to dance to something, or they just want to hear Oasis again. And I was the biggest fan. I was the biggest fan of Oasis for the longest time, but I got really tired of all that, and stepped away for ages. And I can still remember it. It's just the relationship I was in was gone nowhere. It was kind of dying, and my guitar was actually away in a case under a bed, and I grabbed it, and just out of frustration, I literally came away with the first few bars of a song that isn't actually on any of the recorded stuff really, but it's called Hometown, and it kind of became a song that I was known for. I kind of thought this. I was singing in my own accent, and I was singing about what was really happening to me, and it seemed to it resonated with me, having spent so long playing covers and stuff I wasn't really invested in. And then I went round to the Quarry in Ernadale and played it, and folks really seemed to enjoy it, and it just kind of it rolled on for there. So that's kind of how I got it, but I'm not out and about as much as I would. I mean, obviously there's a pandemic going on. Nobody was really out and about that much, and I might be out a wee bit more going forward.
Alan Snelling says Hometown.
Alan's a good pal. Played in bands with years for Alan. He's an incredible keyboardist.
I find that you have, and not so many artists do it. I don't think I'm that great at it, although I would never really refer to myself as an artist, but I'm someone that always plays, and I'm always someone that always essentially writes, just not always on paper. But not every artist finds that place where they're able to write about themselves and reflection, because I think listening through your Spotify, I'm like, wow, I get everything you're talking about, and the way you do it is so effortlessly put together. Well, not effort. It feels effortlessly to listen to, and I can imagine that it kind of just came for you. Yeah.
It's a deliberate thing. I used to be very go over it again, rewrite it, go over it again, try and get it right, try and get the right word. Whenever I'm playing, don't mess the chord up. Now, I mean that was part of what was making it stale for me. It was a conscious decision to say, look, this is going to be a moment in time, and that's what it is. It tries to get a moment in time. And if the words that comes out don't quite scan or they don't really rhyme, I didn't tend to go back, and I certainly don't write it down. I've got nothing written down on paper. I just tend to. It's hard as a writer. I didn't want to sound that artist way, but it doesn't really come. You feel like it doesn't really come for you. You just happen to be there when it happens.
Yeah.
See that decision you made to sing in your own accent. I mean, that's a brave one, especially for somebody from Scotland. You know what I mean? Because it's
West Lothian.
I wasn't going to say that. But see if you did that wee gig that night, singing in your own voice, your own accent, and it didn't get a good response, do you think you'd have just never done it again?
That's a great question. The songs at that particular stage were written because I kind of had to get it out. As I say, the relationship wasn't really going anywhere, and I wasn't in a great place. So I had to do it. I had to write it. It's an interesting thought that if I had went earlier and people didn't get it, because I mean, again, that was a wee while ago. Obviously, there's West Lothian people big in music, like real, making a living it. And some of them have got their own sort of twang in their voice. So it's an interesting thought. If it had a bombed, would have gave up? Probably no gave up. But the people that I met in the community that I'm involved in, I mean, I maybe wouldn't have met a lot of the guys. So who knows what would have happened? But I certainly wouldn't have stopped once I had played that and I had sung it in my own voice, and I felt for the first time in a long time that what I was singing meant something to me. It was something that I needed to say, something that I really felt. I couldn't stop, and that's kind of where it is now. That I never ever sit down and think, right, I'm going to write an EP or I'm going to write a song. It's just whatever's happening. If the song's happening, then I just get a guitar and make it happen. I know that sounds really bad.
No, I'm just looking forward to. I'm sitting on the bog and there's no bog roll left. That's a song waiting to happen.
When I was watching Big Love, which by the way, the animation on that's something else.
I mean, you seen a snippet of that at the start for the people watching. That is probably one of the most interesting and nightmarish things I've ever seen in my life. Who did that for you?
Didn't do it for me. It was an animator who's been in the game for ages. He's got some great, weirder stuff. I'm going to say worse stuff, but weirder stuff than that. Vince Collins.
Right.
And I had been, I knew Big Love was probably was more accessible to people than a lot of the stuff. A lot of the stuff is, there's quite a bit of death in there, and there's quite a bit of darkness in there. So I don't normally have a song like that. So I thought, right, well, if people are going to listen to it, I'll need something interesting to look at. And I can't quite remember what it was, but I was looking for something else. And I seen it and I thought, I wonder if that would go. So I didn't really have video stuff, so I turned it down and put the song on and watched the video, and it seemed to just, key moments seemed to just kind of link. So I had got in touch with the guy and I said, look, this is probably quite strange, but I had the song on and I was watching your video and this synced up a wee bit, and is it all right if I sort of do that? And he went, go for it. So that was that.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But what happened is I've got some pals who have got some kids, who always are interested when I've got something new, and I had obviously sent them the YouTube link. So they're sitting in the living room putting the YouTube link on, and of course this is no appropriate.
Craig Matthewman says the video is amazing, some really trippy stuff.
It is trippy.
You would not know that those two, the song and the video, were never made together. You would think that somebody ate some shrooms and walked into a field one night, and that was basically what came out. It's brilliant. But so when I watched that quite a bit, because it's a very catchy tune. It's really, I think it's one of those ones you would put on a flag and say, come and check me out. It's the one that gets people interested, and then it opens the door to another world to where your music goes, right? Which exactly done that for me, because the next recommended video was When I Was Young.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I clicked on that and I thought, perfect. It's one of those things that you would see someone playing on the street and it would go viral, right? I think you obviously uploaded it before being viral, right? Probably before viral was a thing, right?
That's a viral thing,
But the words in that are so perfect, like talking about why, like, how come sometimes ZX Spectrum games don't work? You know what I mean? Everything in that
some keyboard was beveled like that, just smash it to bits.
It's such a wee
battered.
It's such a good little story that as a child you do think about all those things. It questions religion, right? When you find out about space, all the things you were told when you were a kid, that somebody's going to come up my van and take you away, right? You don't eat those sweets, the razor blades, all of that stuff. Perfect. It's absolute. For me, it was like, this is my childhood in a song.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. I'm glad. I wish I could say there was any rhyme or reason to it, but I was driving to work, and I went round a roundabout, and I was terrified of nuclear war. I mean, that's kind of relevant now, funnily enough, but I was terrified of that when I was young. And the air raid sirens, it still actually puts a chill down my spine. And I was just driving to work, drove round the roundabout, and I heard something, and I was like, that sounded a wee bit like the air raid sirens. And I thought, I thought I used to always be really scared that there was going to be a nuclear war. And literally by the time I got to work, so maybe 10 minutes driving, the whole thing, almost like a stream of consciousness, had just came, and I was like, I can't believe this is rhyming. I can't believe my luck that this is actually happening. So when I'd got there, I had kind of went through it, and as always, sort of trying to is just keep the chord work as simple as no the chord work, but certainly the sequence quite simple. I mean, I always like to try and I'd love to just use one chord. If I could just write a song with one chord and just hold that chord and play it, that's what I would do. I always like to kind of bring it down. And as soon as I got home, I had an idea what I wanted to do, worked it out, and then pretty much recorded a demo. And that was it.
Do you find it hard? Like, obviously, like you said a wee while ago that you never really write anything down. I mean, you're having to go from head straight to recording.
Yeah.
I mean, no lot of folk do that. No, certainly without something written down beforehand. That can't be easy.
Well, occasionally the phone recording thing is always very handy, especially if you have like a wee phrase or something, then you'll say it or hum a wee tape loader.
Adullboy ruined my tape loader. What's
the tape loader on the Spectrum 128K? Mind the bit at the side, the 128K, the luxury model with the tape player there, the tape thing that was attached to it, and mine was like cracked. I had to wedge a 2p piece in to like get the game still hooked.
Do you know, man? I still can't wrap my head around the fact that games were on tapes. It's crazy. It's like you play tapes. You can't tell a tape what to do.
I tried to tell my laddies, honestly. I mean, because obviously we've got emulators, and I showed them a few games, but I was like, this was like 20 minutes screeching like this. And if the screen loaded, you might have been in, but sometimes get to the end. Like, I don't know, did you ever play the game Zoot? on the spectrum where there was like a really sort of basic like voice synthesis thing, and it would load and take ages to load. The game was actually pretty rubbish, but as soon as it loaded it would go but occasionally the memory would just overflow and crash.
It's like no, we can't handle a voice, this is just too much. I remember like Brian had a VIC 20 and Commodore 64. I don't remember a ZX Spectrum ever being in the house, but Commodore 64 had very similar problems with the old loading or not loading, as it might be.
But actually, we had a Commodore 16 at one stage, man. I've spoke to hundreds of people, nobody's even heard it. I'm sure it did definitely happen. It can't just have been me, a Commodore 16. I'm my age now, man. Jesus.
Commodore.
He's going to Google it. There we go. Here we go.
Commodore 16. It definitely did happen. It definitely did happen.
And what verse of the Bible's it in?
Oh God. And so what kind of, for me, I'd grown up with music and I'd always loved music. I always knew at some point I would maybe try and do something. I started off trying to play the trombone. Wasn't for me. And then I just kind of stumbled across a guitar one day. I traded like a DVD player and a couple of DVDs for an old shagged up guitar. It was an old Tanglewood and a stolen amp that my mate's granddad had burst into a school and stole. It's one of them big Wham amps. So I was like, we're off to the races here. And I just went for it, and the rest is history. What was your introduction to becoming not just someone that listens to music, but someone that became an artist?
My dad was in dance bands years and years ago. So there was always instruments, and it would repair. It was like an electronics guy as well. Laterally a degree. Excuse me. So it was always like repairing guitars, and there was always stuff about. So I had kind of dipped in and out of it a wee bit. I hadn't really. This is a true story. I hadn't really. I hadn't been bitten at all. I was still at I'm going to do karate, I'm going to play the drums. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I wanted to do everything. And because I had dipped in and out a wee bit at the house, I was in my first or second year music, and it happened to be like the guitar module or the guitar wee course. And I think it's bebop-a-lula or something, bebop-a-lula, and strum. And I remember that I was sort of in the middle, so there's some people who went before me, some people went after me, and I'd done it, and I was like, I'd heard the people before me, and I thought, I'm not too bad at this. So it got to the end, and the teacher, I can't remember his name, Mr. Caithness maybe. He was taughting up who got what grade, and I had said, look, I think I can, is there any way I can try that again? Because I think I can do better. So he said, aye, no bother. So I done it again, and right enough, I was better. I had got better. So at the end of that, he had said, right, no bother. So he announced to the class, he said, right, everybody, this is the grade that you got. But seeing as Robin done it again and was slightly better, I'm going to give him the same grade, but everybody else is going down a grade.
Right.
And that made me very, very popular. And that is an actual true story. So I asked, can I try it again? Done it a wee bit better, kept the same grade, but everybody else in the class got moved in.
That's good old school teaching there. Like, could you imagine that now? It'd be all over social media. My boy got downgraded because somebody was better than him. This is a disgrace. Change.org.
So it went for there. Right, maybe you're no bad. And then, as I say, guitar teacher Ian Smith was a great guy. It was classical stuff at schools at the time. Like my son, as I say, he plays guitar, and I would ask him what's happening at school, and he'd be like, "Oh, like we're picking up Hendrix and that." And I'm like, "What at school, really?" Because it was all classical stuff. And so I can kind of say I'm classically trained, although you would maybe never know it. But I used to always say, Ian, at the end, look, at that particular time, I was a guitar guy. And I was like, can you show me a wee bit of Hendrix, or can you show me a wee bit of Cream? And he would show me wee licks, wee blues licks. So I would go home on the Friday and I would stay up all night until I had perfected the classical thing. And then I'd go to sleep, then I'd get up and I'd try the wee blues thing or the wee rock thing that he showed me. And I got to meet a close pal who ended up playing the bass in the band for a while, and we were like a kind of classical duet. And we would go to these competitions, and we would show up. It was always like wearing dark clays and bad skin and long hair, and all the other people were like classical guys with clean cut and well dressed and that. And we would always win or come second, so we became like a kind of weird underground classical guitar duo.
It sounds funny when you say it like
I can't believe this stuff really happened. I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? But it just turns out just a lot of mad stuff that I haven't thought about in a long, long time. So we went for there into obviously getting a band. And because my dad had been in dance bands, we'd done covers and we'd done bowling clubs and Masonics and things for many, many years. And we were still at school, so we were going to school and playing at these places at night and were making good money. Then started kind of worked with a couple of people that wrote their own stuff. Then I wrote my own stuff. And that, as I say, I worked quite a bit with Alan, who I think was watching. And when we were booked to do the liquid rooms and stuff, and the band kind of fell apart a wee bit. And then there was the big hiatus, and then the guitar and the hometown and the room. So that's kind of what happened. It all really started because of my dad. It was a very different time back then. So if he was ever playing a private function like a wedding, it would sometimes, and his guitarist was back shift. He would sneak me in the back door, and I would take like my guitar on, and I would just kind of like edge my way out onto the stage or the playing area. And I would know some of the songs that he would play, but my dad would always say, "Right, if you didn't know it, turn it down. Just turn the guitar down and look like you're playing." But you better believe that the next time I went, I knew these songs.
Aye.
And that again is just a crazy memory. I've never thought about that in years.
No, it's funny. Sometimes you might be you sit and think to yourself, I've had a boring life, but then you actually start talking about it, and you realise that you've just know. Everybody's got these memories that come out in conversation that you haven't thought about for years.
I've not thought of that in a while.
Aye, it was nice to be able to bring that out.
No, thanks.
So, live gigs. You've obviously done them for a long, long time now. When did you last do one actually?
One of the last ones I done was he's heard of the band Rest?
Yeah. My friend's really good friends with him. Actually, we work very closely with a lot of the crew that work for Rest.
Really?
Yeah, the sound and all that. Yeah.
Well, great bunch of guys and quite pally with them. I had opened for them, and again at the Purple Lounge, I think I drank 2 boxes of red wine. I can't really mind it much at all. I think that there was, by luck, there was a nurse in the crowd, and I think I actually needed help at one stage.
A box of wine for when a bottle's just not going to cut it.
Exactly. So but obviously the pandemic's really kept that new and again. I mean, I've got stuff coming up.
Yeah. I noticed you were sharing something on Facebook earlier on that there's 30 tickets or so left for. Was that in Glasgow or something? This one?
No, again, it's the Purple Lounge.
Was it the Purple Lounge?
Right.
It's at the Purple Lounge.
What date is that?
I think it's April the 9th.
April the 9th. It's a Saturday.
Confirm that. I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, We'll need to get along and see this, J-Mac.
No, it's 7 o'clock. It doesn't tell me the date though.
It's 7 o'clock. Just show up every night. And every one night will be on.
Keep going. It's Saturday, April, the 9th of April. So this for me is a great one. I don't know if you know the Weathertand or Weathertand. It's actually how I got to know Kyle, because I'd been listening to podcasts and I'd picked up on a couple of Weathertand songs, and I had then searched for them, and I had saw that Kyle had covered the whole album. And
that doesn't seem like something Kyle would do.
Exactly. It was a quiet week writing. And, so I emailed him and I'd said, look, Ken, I've kind of got into Weathertand and you're playing the whole thing. It's amazing. And that was how it started. So it's going to be great to play on the same stage as Weathertand. He's wrote some incredible songs. Next Friday, this is Friday, 18th. So next Friday, it sounds like it's the only place that I play. Excuse me, but I'm at the Purple Orange again.
Right.
But we're there, or I'm there supporting. There's a good few pals that's going to be there. Ryan Morecambe's a good local musician. The Anarchist Band, I think, is my mate Scott. I'm not 100% sure. Kevin Gilday, who's like a brilliant spoken word artist. Who's done fringe stuff and that sort of thing. But the big thing is a guy called the Pure Gallus. Now, you probably know I've heard of the Pure Gallus, but search the Pure Gallus. He's going to be the main guy there next week. And
it's a good name.
It's I wish. I always get jealous when I tell people about the Pure Gallus, because I knew right away when I heard him, this is for me. And it's great. He's a bit like me in as much as that some folk get it and some folk don't, but it's good to see folk when they do. So he's definitely worth a look.
Well, we might come along to that one then. That's next Friday, isn't it?
That's next Friday. So please do.
J-Mac, you're here anyway. We've got a meeting with an actress. So
yes.
So you're here anyway.
Point.
No excuses. We'll be there, Robin.
I wouldn't make an excuse. If I can go, I'll go.
No, that would be great to see.
Wait a minute. Wait, much of the tickets?
I'll sort the ones out for you. They're free. I think it's free. No.
I'll save two back for you. It's free.
I'll get you on the guest list.
We all show up in suits and that. We're on the list, mate. He's like, there's no list. I can get in.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. We need to make sure and head along to that. I would love to come.
No, if you can get it, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Do you play Big Glove live? I've always wondered.
I'll only play Big Glove live with a backing track, actually.
Right.
When I'm doing it, but they tend to be mere acoustic strummy versions. Other acoustic strummy versions. That rather than the backing tracks. I've done it a few times. Killing Karaoke as well is another one that I sometimes do with backing tracks, but I don't know what to do with my hands when I've got to hide behind the guitar, to be honest.
Big Glove can be played on an acoustic guitar.
Well, so I've heard. I mean, I've never seen it actually happen, but
I like it. The one, it was actually the first one that my brother had sent me, and it was 21st Century Dad.
Oh,
that's a great wee tune, man. There's nothing you can't like about it. It's brilliant.
No long after I wrote it, I remember I played it in Henry's Cellar Bar in Edinburgh. It might have been when I actually met Latch, the anti-folk guy, and there was a couple of guys in playing it as well, and I was playing away, and you've heard the song, and there's the bit where it's like, my oldest son lives with his mum, I see him when I can. And one of the other guys, after I'd finished, came up, was greeting, and he was like, I didn't get to see my son, man. And that was it. I was like, I started greeting, and then everybody was greeting. No, but it was incredible that somebody was listening and bought into it. It doesn't happen that often.
Well, you see, I disagree. I think it does, because every song that I've listened to on your Spotify, apart from Big Glove, and I'm sure that I've just yet to find that part of that song yet, but every song is very relatable.
He's like, I remember the time I came out of a random fanny and went back into it again.
And there was a cat turned into a fish. It was a great night.
I remember swimming in mine, tears into my tear duct, and falling down my own throat.
The thing is that your music is very, very relatable, and that's what I had said to J Mac when we were chatting about back and forth. Wasn't that right? I said that every single song that you've got on Spotify that I've been listening to is almost like you've just wrote a journal and then you've found a way to make it musical. You know what I mean? It really is. It's like a look into your soul, which is honest as well, brutally honest.
It's such a nice thing to hear you say, man.
I mean,
honestly,
it's good for
it
us
means a lot. It really means a lot.
It's absolutely that. I mean, we
but Big Love. I mean, that's one that shouldn't really look or have to look too much into it. I was really, really drunk at a wedding, and there was one of the Big Loves, and I was like, "Big Love, that's brilliant." And then I was like, Fleetwood Mac. I was like, "Ah, shit, I can't call it Big Love." But the whole song is just about shagging.
It's funny though, how, like you can just look at any situation, like for example, now I could go right. I'm going to write a song called "Ring Lights and Port Scratchings," and you could probably do something with that. Do you know what I mean?
He's definitely got a ring light on, and he's got port scratchings there.
That wasn't wishful thinking. That was a real snack.
They're not even open yet. I'm going to open these during the watch along.
Oh no, that means everybody at home listening gets to hear you crunching.
No, I'll make sure to mute it. Or if I forget, you'll get one crunch and you will just see Kev like
this. You just see it go. It automatically just ends up like that.
So next Friday at the Purple Lounge, we might well see you there.
I hope so, man. It would be great to see you. I would appreciate that. There might be a couple of, at least two kind of newish ones, ones that I haven't recorded or got done yet. I've found it really hard to write during the pandemic. Everybody's mental health's taking a bit of doing. It's one of the reasons I thought I'd take a year off the drink, because it's like drinking a lot. But as you've probably noticed, if I'm not out there getting into trouble, getting drunk, doing daft things, I've not got that much to write about. So I like it tends to come for either being like ridiculously hungover and reevaluating my entire life, or being in a place where I'm nostalgic, because I'm quite a nostalgic. Although nostalgia is not what it used to be, but.
That's the best statement I've ever heard.
I would actually.
It was one for my dad.
I would like to.
Nostalgia's not what it used to be.
I think you would do really well at creating a song with just one chord. I think if anybody can do it, you can.
That is what I've been going for. A lot of them do end up being two and changes in chords, but that I do try and bring. There's loads that are just two chords. But what I found is talking to other folk, whenever we have like a beer and we get into like talking about songs, loads of folk are they say what's the sequence there, and I'm like, that's just like F and B flat or C and G, but I use a capo, and they're always like, but it sounds like so much more. And I'm like, but I tend to like do a strange rhythm thing in that,
play about,
and they're like, I can't quite do it, and I'm like, I can't not do it. I'm not trying to do it. I'm just, that happens to be just how it is. So I'm probably quite lucky that I've got that weirdish disposition. That I'm just lazy. Just had a C shape.
You'll notice here that we've got a comment here for Todd A. Surprise. Now, Todd Surprise was a previous guest of ours. He was the guy that told his story about sitting in the third row when Owen Hart hit the mat, and he's for Kansas City, so he's over in the States. He's a musician as well. So
absolutely,
Todd,
great musician.
Todd, make sure you check out Adullboy. All his stuff's on YouTube.
Yep.
See what you think. Get it shared. You never know.
And and on top of that, Todd's actually just released his own podcast that you can find. It's called Mostly Motorsports. Watch it live from Monday to Friday, 12 noon, 1 p.m. CT time. What's CT time?
Try and tune in.
And that's from the Racing Boys Facebook page.
Oh
So
yeah,
make sure to definitely anybody that remembers Todd and enjoyed that episode to go ahead and follow him there. But yeah, Todd would actually really enjoy your music. Todd, you need to check it out. He says, "Will do for sure. Thanks for the shout out. Always a pleasure,
Wow,
Todd.
cheers.
Always a pleasure."
CT
Yeah.
is Central Time, by the way. you've got Pacific Time, you've got Eastern, and you've got Central.
We've established between you and I, J Mac, that I'm not the time guy.
I can't work that either.
Oh, honestly, man, every time we're getting a guest on for the States, Kev's texting me like, right, what time is it for him?
Is it early? Is it late? Who knows?
No, not at all. So we've kind of covered where you've been in this wonderful West Lothian music scene, which, by the way, is so fruitful when you look at really what's happened in our scene. I think
It's went crazy, man.
it has.
It
I
has,
think
yeah.
2006 was the year of the singer-songwriter. Do you remember back when it was like what's his name, Jack Johnson, and all these people? They were really flooding the charts, Paolo Nutini. It would be nice to see that come back again, because what's in the charts now is just unoriginal drivel, unbelievably
I couldn't
terrible.
even tell you one thing that's in it. I'm listening to the new. My thing, the new is Gene Pitney.
Gene
Gene
Pitney.
Pitney's like the 50s, 60s guy that is in every charity shop that's here. I kind of got into vinyl, and I got a load of vinyl for a charity shop, and one of them is Gene Pitney's Super 16 or something, and it's got one song on it that's just an unbelievable banger. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, you've got to go and search Gene Pitney the new, and you're going to be like, "What?" But
Where's he from?
He must be American. Must be American. That Heaven 17 I've got right into as well.
All right, yeah.
Heaven 17. But I couldn't tell you what's in it. I mean, I've probably displayed that, but they too recent. I tell you who I'm really into, and I don't know if you've ever heard them or not. Because I was going about charity shops and into vinyl, what I used to like to do was buy old unusual 80s compilations. But definitely no, now that's what I call music. And this actually led me down another slight tangent as well, that there used to be loads of these types of compilations, but somehow now that's what I call music is monopolized them. I believe they must have somehow crushed these other guys, because it's like interesting artwork, crap artwork, but it's great. So I came across this one that's called something like Now This Is Music 5, and listening to it, and just a lot of mints, but just these few gems. And one of them is Falco, who's this Austrian guy. I don't know if it did chart in Britain, but it's called Genie. Definitely look this mad song up, Genie by Falco. So my team that I work with, we go kind of. I was like, I've heard this. This is crazy. Listen to it. So we all kind of started to get into it, and then the more you look into it, there's conspiracies around this guy. That I think if you look it up, you didn't quote me on it, but if you look it up, some people think that he actually he moved to America and he became like a wrestler. He's supposedly
Kevin would know.
Death.
I would definitely know if he was a wrestler.
He faked his own death. This song Genie was apparently about kidnapping, and there was a whole thing. Let me see if I can find it exactly who was.
He actually looks like an actor. He looks more like an actor. Who does he look like? He looks like I can see him in my head, a Scottish actor. But nah, looking at his face, I definitely would say that he never became a wrestler. Not in at least. Not
I mean, it's probably not true, but it's just this huge conspiracy hanging around about him. All because I bought that £4. Now This Is Music dodgy 80s compilation. So that's like my new hobby. I've got loads of them.
See, that's a song waiting to happen as well.
Exactly.
The pursuit of finding unusual. I mean, I like stuff like Jackson Browne and all that. I kind of just
nice.
What I'll find is some of my favorite artists will cover a song that I'm like, that's a banging tune. I'll go back and listen to the original artist, and that sends me down that rabbit hole.
That
kind of stuff. I that's kind of where I go. And I used to be a bit like yourself. I had lots of vinyls,
Right.
but then they were really expensive, and I'm like, I knew it to put them. So being married, you know how that is. You only have them
I
for
know.
a certain amount of time.
I've spent like 150 pounds on rubbish like last month, like stuff from my childhood. I don't know if you might see something in the background here. I've got mate, a 1998 edition of Loaded magazine that I remember buying. Right, I've got a Stretch Armstrong for 1992. I've got a Lionel and Tigra Thundercat.
Oh, really? Nice.
Action figures. What else did I get? Some VHSs. I got a Congo movie, an original Congo movie poster. Remember Congo? I just went on this kind of mad 90s thing.
Did they ever do a Thundercats movie that was oft promised?
No, I think basically, it was really quite. I don't know how far into the works they got with it, but the idea was that Michael Clark Duncan was going to play Panthro, and he died, and I don't know if they just never picked it up after that, or I mean, imagine him as Panthro, man. It's perfect. So, Kev, did you ever watch Thundercats?
Biker Mice for Outer Space was my jam, mate.
Biker Mice from Mars. Get it right. It was Mars.
Maybe it wasn't my jam.
Mars. I kind of it's just the tail end, because obviously you had the whole Turtles thing, and then the Biker Mice came after the Turtles, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Aye, but no, like He-Man.
Who wrote that shit? They were on stuff.
Aye, exactly. I remember just exhausted. Let's start doing animals. Was there no some other rat thing as well?
Rat King. King Rat King.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
So we've got another 10 minutes before we on to the next episode, which is our watch along. So we're going to chat to you just a wee bit about. I mean, you're obviously nostalgia is your thing. So what are some of your favorite movies growing up? Because that's pretty much what we talk about all the time on this podcast. So everybody knows ours, but what is yours?
Big horror guy. Probably born of being exposed to inappropriate material far too young. The first memory I've got is The Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, in my grand's house, and the heating. That house was always burning, man. It was fun. And just the heat, the terror, the top loader VHS, but I can still mind of the VHS getting put in, pushed in. And then We're Gonna Get You. Never slept for weeks, but developed. I don't know. It's strange. I don't know if it's PTSD or what it is, but developed a strange thing for horror. So then all the obvious ones: Nightmare on Elm Street 1, absolute classic, and you can go right through to The Shining, which is where a dull boy came for all work and no play makes Jack. A dull boy.
Like, didn't even think to ask. Why didn't I ask?
That's what it was. So The Shining. Jaws, massive Jaws, the original Piranha as well.
Piranhas.
The river is filled with carnivorous
Speaking of
fish.
Jaws, last week we watched this terrible film called Ouija Shark. It was about a Ouija board with a ghost shark in
I thought it was going to be a shark for Glasgow, man.
Craig Matthewman was nice enough to do the mock-up of Ouija Shark. So that's me. I think that's a poster for Jaws 2. And then they've
nice.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
The man is so mega talented.
Shining, Jaws.
Aye, so that sort of thing. All the horrors, classic horrors, really good horror. An old one, I don't know if you've seen it, The Intruders. It's kind of set in like a shop. The night shift guys are putting it out. Can't remember who it was that done the effects, but there's some really excellent effects. He's getting crushed and things. So I love all that stuff. But getting new American Psycho is just so quotable. Great film. But probably my favorite film, certainly at the minute, and it's no a horror. And I don't know if you've seen it or if anybody that's watching has seen it, but With Neil and I.
Do you know what? It's on my list. It's been on my list for
Neil
years.
As
Richard E. Grant, isn't it?
Richard E. Grant, aye. It is just great. Used to get in for having been at the pub or whatever and just put it on and watch it to the end and then put it on again for the start. Just it's so quotable. It's just great. But if you had to ask, definitely horror. All about the horror.
I remember meeting you at the Lost Boys screening that we did, and you were very, very keen to get your movie script signed by Tom Mack.
Definitely, man. You
managed to get him just before he wasn't very well. I think he might have had something that rhymes with schmovid.
I was going to say that.
And it managed to get it signed just before you left. So big Lost Boys fan as well.
I love all of that stuff. I love all the John Hughes. It's got especially a wee soft spot for Weird Science. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Oh, I've seen Weird Science.
Tremendous film.
What's her name again? Kelly LeBrock. Was that her name?
Kelly LeBrock. Kelly LeBrock, man.
He zoned out like
almost wore the video. Loved that film. Mostly horror though, I would say.
We done a wee documentary was made by one of our friends about our last 3 years on podcasting, and we actually interviewed someone that J Mack had watched for many years. And what was it you actually said in this documentary while using the footage of our interview with her? You said my tape had gone green at the bits she was in.
It was a very
That's
very
moisture in the air, man.
Moisture and salt. I think her name's Caroline Monroe. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she was a bit of a stunner back in the day. She was in one of the Roger Moore Bond movies, and she was also in. It was one of my favourite films as a kid. It was called At the Earth's Core with Doug McClure and Peter Cushing. They kind of drilled into the middle of the earth. And Caroline Monroe, man, give her a Google. She was something else. And when I met her and I told her that she was my first ever crush.
Really?
And I totally embarrassed myself when we were saying goodbye. Like, just went totally unprofessional and was like, nah, fuck it. Just leaned in, gave her a wee kiss on the side of the head. She's like 68, man.
Oh, no.
Walking away like that. Oh, no.
I just remember being like, did he just kiss her?
On the side of the head.
Just like, imagine, like,
yeah. It was even more awkward when I tried to kiss Jimmy V, who played R2D2.
On the side of the head?
Aye, which head?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm
just
totally
trying
joking.
something. That was fine. You're just trying something.
Oh, man. Well, it's been an absolute...
I was going to say, I think we could speak for a lot longer, but we're on a schedule, so we better bugger off.
Definitely.
But,
You've got stuff today, man.
It was great having you on, Robin, and we might well see you on Friday.
We will see you on Friday.
I
mean, we might well.
The beer's on me, man.
We'll see you on Friday. I just need to tell my missus. Ask.
She's not watching. Ask.
We'll definitely next time you release another EP or another wee album, we'll definitely get you back on and we'll go through that.
Well, you will be the first to hear it, man.
That'd be awesome.
I'll definitely do that.
Definitely keep us in the loop. And so we'll see you Friday. And also, I'm sure we do events all over like you've been to one. I wish I'd known you then. I'd have totally had you on supporting Tom Mack. That would have been awesome.
Oh man,
timing's everything, eh? Timing's everything.
It is. But listen, it's never too late.
Absolutely,
it's never too late.
We'll have a bit more in the pipeline in the next wee bit or so. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll definitely make it happen.
Definitely, aye. Thanks, man. Thanks to you.
Pleasure's absolutely ours, eh? Pleasure's
Thanks
ours.
for your story, man. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. Thanks for teasing it up.
Keep in touch. And
it's a bit like therapy, to be honest.
Which is what music should be, right?
Exactly,
and
man.
And this is what art was created for. It was to bring us all together and just let it out. Eh? So we're going to do that again in about 3 minutes. We'll go live. We're going to do a watch along of the movie House Shark. So anybody, including yourself, if you're up for it, what you do is you just basically click on our next stream. We'll put the movie on. You guys put the movie on, and we'll just have fun, and we'll just enjoy the rest of the night. So we'll see you there, guys. Again, Robin, thanks again, and we will catch you all on the next. Take it easy, guys.
Catch you.